Good afternoon, Christian M. How are you feeling on this fine evening? That's fantastic. So you are familiar with the controversial topic as to if homework is necessary or unnecessary to be mandatory in school.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So what is your stance?
I don't believe homework should be mandatory at all. I feel like homework should be almost obsolete.
Obsolete? And what do you mean by that?
I mean, it should only be used in very certain cases and only to check where a student's at and not grade them on it.
Interesting. So, do you have any personal experience yourself as to why you feel this way?
Growing up, parents worked a lot of hours. I would see my parents for maybe a few hours of the day. That was dinner, and I spent most of the time I was home after football practice or basketball practice doing homework, and I would go to sleep really late. It's actually one of the things that caused one of my sleep deprivations. And I never really felt benefit from it. I never learned doing homework. It just kind of became another stress to my day.
So it was just negative impact on you?
Mm-hmm.
I see. So moving to a kind of a different area, do you mind if I ask, what are your most important core values?
Most important core values are my family, mental health, and money.
Mm-hmm. And how have any of these influenced how you feel about the mandatory and unmandatory homework?
Well, of course, family. The more time you're doing homework, the less time you get to spend with your family. And as a student growing up in elementary or middle school, even high school, those are very decisive times in your life, and the less time you get to spend with your family is not good for you at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's mental health. Students growing up, especially in high school, when they're filled with all these big decisions in life, they have these homeworks that weigh them down and just take a lot of time out the day. A lot of them are working to support their own families. A lot of them are in school, or sports,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them just dealing with a lot of personal issues outside of school that homework just puts a weight on them that they can't control.
Mm-hmm. So I can tell that family is really important to you. So why, may I ask? Like,
Why
has
is
this
my
core,
family important to me?
Well, how has this core value developed throughout your life?
Parents are the most important people in my life. Die for them, and so they do everything the most for me. So of course at the top of my list of what I care about.
Yes. So
Yes, they get that one right.
do you always disagree with having mandatory homework, or are there maybe in some instances where you think that it can be okay?
Well, the idea of mandatory homework is
Mm-hmm.
never an idea I would ever approve. Telling kids they have to do homework and telling teachers that they have to assign homework is never going to work. The idea of homework is perfectly fine if it's used as a end of the week or beginning of the week of benchmarking where the student's at, using that benchmark to see what the student needs to learn and going over with them rather than giving them an assignment, seeing what they got wrong, and giving a bad grade rather than telling them how they did good and what they need to work on.
Mm-hmm. So you say that having a benchmark like every week would be better than just having homework that were graded every single day?
Yes, because the grades, if a kid's not understanding something, repeated homework where he's just still not understanding it is only going to make it worse for him. He's going to resent the topic. He's never going to want to look at the topic. He's going to go home, see these topics, and push it to the last minute, maybe never even get it done. If he has a benchmark like, okay, I have to take a quiz every Monday. I'm not going to get graded on it. This is just to see what I know.
So is that what you would change? Like, if you had to go away from homework and change to one thing, that's what you would think would do?
Yes, I think a checkup is rather better for a student mentally and emotionally than homework is.
Yes, very valid. How strongly do you feel about this opinion? Is it something that's like really important
Very
to you?
strongly. I mean, not important, like I wouldn't die for it.
Right.
But, if it ever came up in a situation where I was a deciding factor, I would of course speak my mind.
That's excellent.
Hello, Lauren R.
Hello, Christian
Welcome to
M.
Christian's Talk.
Thank you.
Today
I'm so
we're going
glad
to talk
be here.
about homework. Boo. I'm going to ask you a few questions and I need you to
Yes.
answer truthfully.
I will
No
not
lies.
answer.
Thank you so much. How do you feel about mandatory homework?
Mandatory as in it's necessary, right? Like you need it, it's created.
Mandatory as in, we'll go by definition, mandatory. Teachers have to assign it, students have to complete it.
Okay. Obviously there are some loopholes in how I feel about it. Like, there, maybe not so obviously, but there are gonna be cases when I'm like you don't really need homework for this. But in general, like generally speaking, I do agree that it's good for the student, and that it, yeah, I actually do like it. So.
Okay. Why do you think mandatory homework is a great idea?
Okay, I think personally, like in my personal life, I will not do something unless there's a grade, or unless I'm risking something that's like important to me, like my education, or like if it were like a life or death situation, like if you don't do your homework you'll die, then obviously I will do it. So having homework that I need to do with something that's like at risk, it makes me do it because I know it's important to me, and sometimes I don't pay attention in class the best, so I feel like homework really helps me get everything together and stay on track.
So you feel like your inner drive is what made you want to do the homework?
Sure.
Okay. How do you feel about students who may not have this inner drive?
That's tough because all my life I've been around people who do, I guess. And that's never really something that I can understand for someone else. But, if you don't have that inner drive, I understand how that would be extremely difficult, like, to get something done. But, I don't know, it's like, homework hasn't really been hard to me, so maybe that's why I feel that way. Maybe I don't understand enough, But, yeah, I guess that's what I have to say.
Do you believe that students who suffer from maybe mental illnesses, or maybe are going through a tough time at home, should have the same priority in homework as other students?
Absolutely not. Like I said, there are loopholes to how I feel about this, and that's some of them. Like, if you have a mental illness and you have something that's like stopping you at home, whatever, obviously, like, your mental health and your personal life it's more important than homework. I'm not saying that homework is more important to that. So yeah, if you have some kind of disability or some kind of something going on at home, then obviously I do think there are, I keep saying obviously, but there are exceptions. Like, I do believe in having exceptions for stuff like that.
So let's talk about students who maybe sleep in class because they're not sleeping at home, or act up in class because they maybe want more attention at home. How should, if we're doing mandatory homework, or teachers are going to be policing essentially this homework, how would you be able to talk to these students on when they can and they can't? How would that work?
Can and can't what?
Do their homework.
Okay. Well, I believe that everybody's going through something different. Like, everyone's going through something, you know what I mean? And for stuff like that, I think it's kind of the teacher's job, especially in younger students, or, I do think that it's the teacher's job to, like, watch their students and, like, notice things like that. I feel like you disagree with that, but, like, in college, not as much, because I guess we're adults, but for like middle school, for elementary school, like when you had a set classroom and you had like 20 students, I guess, or I guess it's different for everyone, but if a teacher isn't noticing something like that, then but it's hard to say that, because like I mean personally, like, I didn't have to go through that. Like, I didn't like I had time to sleep, sorry, and some people don't. So those are just situations that I don't really know how to speak on exactly, because I just kind of agree with homework for my case and for people that like do have time for stuff like that. But it's just like, if you don't have time because of like personal life, that's I don't think homework should be mandatory for that. Like, I don't, because there's obviously something else that's going on that's more important. But